If you guys want cheap and reliable coins, check out cheaputcoins.com. I'll have a link in the description down below. It's an automated service, so you get the coins instantly. Use Fangs for a 5% discount. Hey guys, how's it going? It is Fangs, and welcome to another story. So you guys seem to really enjoy the story that I told you last week where the guy broke into my house and I caught him. So I decided to bring you back one more for this week. A lot of people asked to do the ghost story, which I used to do these stories, and if you are a long-time subscriber and you watch my Call of Duty videos, you probably heard this story before. I'm going to put two together in one, and we're going to start right here with house number 1. You should be able to see a picture pop out on the screen right now. This is the house that I grew up in from like age 10 until I was 18 and I went to college. I actually left to college when I was 17. And yeah, it might show the address on there. I don't know if you can actually see it, but my parents don't live there anymore. So if you're gonna like sneak up on that house, you're gonna find some other family that I don't know. They ended up moving after I was like 2 years into college. So they live somewhere else, but that's in Fort Worth, Texas. Lived in this house for quite a long time. When I moved into this house, I lived there with me, my dad, my stepmom, my stepsister, who's the same age as me, and then our cousin Joey. My brother kind of lived in and out of there at some points, but he kept running away, so he was actually just never there. Anyway, so to describe the house, because I don't have any pictures of the inside really to tell you, you had the kitchen that was like over here, and then you walked out in the front door, you walked into the living room, and there was a direct set of stairs that went up to all the rooms were on the left side of the house. There was also a balcony. It almost looked like, I forgot what they called it. A loft is what they called it. There was a loft where our computer was, where some beanbags were, and like a video game system, and it looked like if you stood up and you like got off of a beanbag and looked down, it looked down into the living room. So the living room ceiling was really high. My parents' bedroom was down on that side, and there was like a back door and a back porch. To begin describing how creepy this house was, and some of you might not believe in this type of stuff, and I totally understand, but I tell you what I believe and what I imagine. And when it comes to this, like, I'm not a really religious person or anything like that, but when it comes to spirits and ghosts, there's just something that I've had that I've dealt with my entire life where I totally freaking believe in them. Starting from the beginning. Creepy house in the first place. We used to realize when we were sitting down in the living room, up in the loft is where our computer was. We would notice that there would be like typing on the keyboard. You could hear typing on the keyboard, but we just like kind of blew it off because you never know. Maybe it was just like playing with our heads or something. This is mostly the kids. My parents did feel very creeped out around the house, but they didn't try to tell us that because I guess they weren't trying to scare us or anything like that. Not to mention you'd be in the downstairs part, and if you were in the kitchen and you were below where the bedrooms were upstairs, you could hear like footsteps and walking, but it is like a house that was probably built in like the 70s or 80s, so maybe there was some creaky or something going on. That obviously could be debunked. Story number 1. This is whenever it first started. Problem. We were kids that came from all different families. I came from a really rough background before I moved in with my dad. I had like a lot of situations and problems. My cousin Joey came from a mom that had a lot of problems as well, so we were both kind of rambunctious. And then my stepsister had always just lived with them, and she was kind of the only child. And just to let you know, whenever she was 7 years old, her father died in a motorcycle accident, and it was really tragic. He was only like 28 or 29 years old, so that like really affected her. But as we moved in together, we're obviously all around the same age, and we're all kids, and so we played pranks on each other, and we always did these mean things, but we were super mean, I feel like, to Summer, which I always regret now. I do know like one time we like went in her room and we threw all our stuff out of her window, and it was on a 2-story house. I mean, it was just stupid things. We used our mattress to jump off the balcony and then do wrestling moves off of and stuff, but it was just stupid kid things. And so anyway, she already like got a lot of shit from us, so that was like something that I thought maybe like added up to what was happening here. But one night, I wake up in the middle of the night. I'm in my bed, you know, just dead asleep. Wake up, obviously, like 2 or 3 in the morning. Don't know why. Usually my radio is playing, and my radio is always on at that time. I had to sleep with the radio on, but for some reason this night it had turned off and there was no sound. That's probably why I woke up. So I wake up to that. I like turn my light on. Weirdest shit ever. Could have just happened, but weirdest shit ever. I had this Stone Cold Steve Austin like life-size thing of him. It was a cardboard stand-up that I had in my closet because like my parents didn't want it sitting out in my room. And awkwardly, the closet, it was a sliding glass closet. The closet was open like a little bit, and his creepy ass freaking eye was staring out of it. So that scared the shit out of me. And I was like, I can't sleep by myself at this age. If I got scared, I either went and slept with my parents or I would go try to sleep with Summer, my stepsister. And so I, at that time, was probably like 7th grade, and I was like, I'm going to sleep with Summer. So I went in her room. I'm like, Summer, I'm going to sleep with you. And she's like, whatever, cool. And so she lets me sleep there. We're sitting there. There's obviously, it's a queen size bed, so there's a space in between the both of us. And it's in the middle of the night. I probably maybe had fallen asleep for like 30 minutes, and I wake up to the most shrieking scream of my life, and it is my stepsister, and she is like bolted out of bed. She'd screamed so loud, like it scared the shit out of me. She had bolted out of bed and she was going to turn the lights on. And she turned the lights on really quickly and she was like, "Did you see that? Did you see that? Did you see that?" And I'm like, "I didn't see shit. Like, what are you talking about? I didn't see anything. What are you freaking out about?" And she's like, "You did not just see what just happened." And I was like, "Nah, I woke up and you're screaming like a crazy person. Like, what? I didn't see anything." And so from there, I mean, I missed this part. I didn't see it. I didn't hear it. I had nothing to do with it. But she said we were laying in bed and she woke up and she saw that there was like a darkness, an entity, I guess is what you call it, in between us. And it had an arm and it was like going down and it was reaching down to hold her hand. And it was just about to touch her hand. And she got up out of bed and she started screaming. I mean, she was white. She was ghost white. Like, something had to have scared the shit out of her. And I know you can say maybe she was dreaming and all, maybe she hallucinated or something like that, but that was like the first place of something already scaring the shit out of her. I never saw it. I had no idea what happened there, but the story that involves me, probably 5 months later or something like that, 5 or 6 months later, my Oma was coming into town. If you do not know what an Oma is, it is a grandma. So she was coming into town. She's a huge woman. Huge, or she was at the time. She's passed away. But she was huge, and so in order for her to stay, she had to sleep in my parents' room. She could not climb the stairs to get into any of the other bedrooms. And my parents, for that reason, had to stay in my stepsister's room, which means that my stepsister needed to sleep with me, which we were, I think at the time, like, we did not like each other. We were, like, in some kind of feud. So, she stayed in my room. But she always has to, like, get up in the middle of the night and pee and stuff like that. And she did it, like, once or twice. I was really tired this night. She did it, like, once or twice, and I was like, oh, my God. Like, I can't take this anymore. And then I think she had like a little, like, you know, when you have your 6th or 7th grade boyfriend, she was probably in 8th grade by now. She was going out and she was talking to him on like the phone in the loft area. And then she would come back into the room. She woke me up at least 3 times. So at this point, I was pretty fed up with it. And so I locked her out of my room. She tried to get back in and I just didn't let her in. And she wasn't going to go wake up my parents because, I don't know, she just decided not to. So she didn't bother me. I ended up falling asleep. And I think she ended up falling asleep out because we had huge bean bags on the loft area. So she ended up falling asleep on one of those bean bags. And so I'm going out there. I wake up probably like 2 hours later. I have no idea what the timing is, but I wake up. Nothing's out of the ordinary. I just need a pee because it's the middle of the night. And I'm just like, if I have to go, I go. And so in order to get to my bathroom, you have to walk out to the loft. And then the bathroom's the first door on the left. And then Summer's room is the second door on the left. And her room actually connects to the bathroom. So if somebody comes in through her room and locks the bathroom door on my side, then I'm locked out, which sucks. So I walk out, I go outside my room, and I look into the bean bags. I look directly at the bean bags. Like, I'm not in a haze, there's nothing going on. I look directly at the bean bags, and I see my stepsister laying there, and in the bean bag next to her, I see what appears to be a guy laying there with, like, his head to her head. And in my mind, like, at that time of the night, I wasn't processing it. I mean, what if a guy had broke into the house or something? I was not processing it. So I just was like, wait a minute, is that my cousin Joey? The hair was like not exactly like his, but I was like, fuck it. And so I just like walked to the left and I tried to get into the bathroom. I looked back, still there, still them there. Tried to get into the bathroom, couldn't get in because it was locked. So I had to go through my parents' room and I woke them up a little bit, went back into the bathroom, had to like do that, did my thing. And then I come back out through my bathroom door and I pass by and it's still there. It's like they're almost laying head to head. And I was just like, that's kind of freaking weird. So I wake up the next morning, I'm sitting there having breakfast with my dad, and I'm like, yo, Dad, I think that I locked Summer out of my room last night, in which I was already about to get in trouble for because they were kind of mad about. And I was like, why was Joey out there with her? Like, it looked like they had fallen asleep both on the loft area. Why was he out there? Like, that's kind of weird, don't you think? And so my dad was like, Joey wasn't there last night. Like, there's no way that could have been him because he wasn't even at the house last night. And I just like sat there for a second and I sank and I was like, Dad, I saw someone laying in the beanbag next to her. And he was like, well, maybe it was just, you know, you were maybe half asleep or something like that. Like, obviously he didn't believe it or whatever, but I know what I saw, and I saw someone sleeping in the beanbag right next to her. There's nothing that I could miss. And so whenever I go back and I think of, I mean, that's creepy. That is one of the creepiest things I could ever, like, it ran chills through my spine. I was like terrified. I freaked out for days after that. But when I go back and I think of like what it could have been with all the stuff that was happening and how much bullying was going on in the house, I sometimes imagine that maybe it was like her dad and he was watching over her. She said like later on in the future that sometimes she had a vanity that went in between her room and the bathroom. So it was like this big sink area. And she said sometimes she felt like someone was just sitting there, like if she looked over, she felt someone was just sitting there watching her. So deep in my mind, I always imagined that maybe that was her dad and he was just trying to comfort her or protect her or something like that. But it creeped me the F out. And that's the only time. I have a ton of other ghost stories or stories of something like that. That's the only time I've ever actually seen an entity. I've actually seen it right there in front of my eyes. Like, it was there. There is no like, oh, they could not have been there. It was there. I double looked it. I went this way, that way, came back to my room, still sitting there. So that is my ghost story. I don't know if you guys have ever had this. Let me know down below. Do you believe in it? Do you not believe in that type of stuff? Have you had anything like this stuff happen to you before? Let me know that down in the comments down below. That is going to be it for this story. It might not be as awesome as the break-in one, because the break-in one you can obviously believe. With mine, you have to imagine that I am completely telling the truth, which I am. I wouldn't just come out and put it on my freaking channel if it wasn't something that I actually genuinely have faith that it actually happened. But that's going to be it for this video, guys. If you did enjoy it, a thumbs up would be awesome. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.